Australia 4 for 479. Khawaja 171. Marsh 98 asterisk. Smith 83. Marsh 63 asterisk. Led England 346 by 133 runs. Scorecard and ball-by-ball details. If the new year is about fresh starts, then Usman Khawaja has nailed the brief. Having failed to score a Test century in 2017, Khawaja used his first innings of 2018 not only to raise his 6th Test 100, but to bat some more, spending 381 balls at the crease in the longest innings of his decade-long first-class career. Khawaja's 171 was the centerpiece of a day of Australian dominance at the SCG, where Sean Marsh was also approaching triple figures by Stumps, and Australia, hoping not to have to bat again in the match, had built a 133-run lead. For England, it was a long, hot, demoralizing 6 hours in the field. They managed only 2 wickets all day, and the best that could be said of their results was that they prevented Stephen Smith from making yet another century. And frustrating. Was it ever frustrating for England? Mason Crane missed a maiden Test wicket due to a no-ball, and both Marsh brothers, Sean and Mitchell, were given out only to be reprieved on review. Both were still there at Stumps, Sean on 98 and Mitchell on 63, with Australia's total on 4 for 479. Stats highlights 171 Usman Khawaja's second highest score and 6th century in Tests. During his 171, Khawaja also crossed 2,000 Test runs. This was his first century against England in 15 innings. Khawaja now has 1 century in each of the 5 major grounds in Australia. The 381 balls faced in the innings was also his longest knock in terms of balls faced, surpassing the 301-ball effort against South Africa at Adelaide. 73.88 partnership average for Stephen Smith and Usman Khawaja, the highest for any pair with a minimum of 15 innings. Since April 2014, the two have added 6 century stands, the most for Australia. In 18 innings, the two have added 12 50-plus stands. 5 of the 6 century stands have come at home. 1993, the only other instance for Australia in which the 3rd, 4th and 5th wicket added 100 runs or more each in an innings. Against England it leads in the 4th Test of the 1993 Ashes. 5 instances of batsmen no. 2 to no. 6 each scoring half-centuries for Australia. The previous instance was also at Sydney in 2015 against India. All the 5 occasions have been at home. Crane's bowling was one of the stories of the day. He turned some big leg breaks and googlies, and induced the odd false stroke, but made even more false starts himself. The sight of Crane walking to his crease, entering his delivery stride, and then holding on to the ball became about as ubiquitous on day 3 at the SCG as pink clothing. Perhaps he was worried about no balling, for he often landed close to or over the crease, and had missed out on the wicket of Khawaja in the final over before lunch due to a no-ball. Coming around the wicket, Crane turned the big leg break into Khawaja, who thrust his pad out without playing the ball, and England asked for a review of the not-out LBW decision. Replays showed that, by a small margin, Crane had failed to land his foot behind the crease. Ball tracking went on to show that Khawaja would have otherwise been out. An exasperated Crane appeared to argue the point, pointlessly, with umpire Kumar Dharmasena. Quite how a spinner can so consistently be close to no balling is a matter for Crane to rectify. At length, he did manage his maiden Test wicket, and it was Khawaja, but by the time Crane beat the advancing Khawaja and had him stumped by Johnny Bairstow, the batsman had 171 runs, and had been at the crease for nearly 9 hours. It was a patient innings from Khawaja, who brought up his 100, his first in Ashes cricket. and his first at the SCG from his 222nd delivery, and his 150 from his 334th. Until this test, the best Khawaja had to show for this Ashes was a pair of 50s. This innings alone buys him a lengthy stay in the side. His dismissal, shortly after tea, was the last breakthrough England would make all day. The Marsh brothers made it 3 consecutive century partnerships for Australia in this innings. Khawaja and Smith had put on 188, Khawaja and Sean Marsh 101, and by Stumps, Sean and Mitchell Marsh had compiled an unbeaten 104. England thought they had Mitchell Marsh late in the day when he was given out LBW off the bowling of Tom Curran, and asked for a review. The third umpire, S. Ravi, overturned the decision on the basis of Marsh having nicked the ball. Though the hot spot and Snicko evidence appeared far from conclusive, at least the ball was shown to be missing the stumps in any case. So Marsh would have been let off even without the supposed edge. Usman Khawaja celebrates his first Ashes century. Getty Images. On 22, Sean Marsh had been given out caught behind off the part-time off-spin of Joe Root, and after consulting with Khawaja, he called for a review. It was hard to work out why Marsh had not reviewed immediately, for the replays showed between bat and ball a gap big enough that Cameron Bancroft could almost have been bowled through it. Marsh went on to register his 50 from 121 balls, and by Stumps was eyeing off a 6th Test century. He had come to the crease after the dismissal of Smith in the penultimate over before lunch. Smith appeared destined for his 400 of the series when on 83 he chipped a return catch to Moeen Ali, who was bowling around the wicket. It was Moeen's 4th wicket of the series, and the first time he had dismissed a right-hander in this campaign. And given Smith's recent dominance, England could have hoped that wicket turned the tide. 1 wicket and 205 runs later, it was clearly anything but the case.